Okay, Ange, what we're going to cheers to?
Our friendship.
That sounds good. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we looked in each other's eyes because, yeah. If you don't know the looking in the eyes thing, you'll find out.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Hi everybody, welcome back to Hart Talks. Today I am over at my friend's house, Angelina. Angelina's so many things. We met through Joyful Noise Choir, which is an HIV positive choir. We know each other through advocacy work. We know each other through singing, like singing outside of our group. How else do we know each other?
Gosh, I've watched you doing talks and doing performances.
Yeah. And I've watched you doing talks. So Angie's so many things. She's my pal, which is the most important thing. But, Angelina, I was saying that I was doing a bit of, you know your friends, you know them because you see them and you know them. But it's quite strange to think, I don't know what Angie's full story is. I've heard her speaking, but she, when you were speaking, it was about women living with HIV, and so I was researching a bit on Ange, and she's an amazing woman. She is very knowledgeable, very intelligent. I didn't realize how intelligent you were, and she's also written books, and she's also sews t-shirts and designs things, and she's just a very colourful personality. So Angelina, welcome to Hart Talks.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you so much for all those kind words. I'm only a little bit of what you say, but thank you very much.
Not at all. So I'm here in Angie's place today, and we are just talking about her story. And I think it's really important, Ange, that people hear your story because it's a really important one. I know that you were diagnosed in 1993. What was HIV/AIDS in 93? What was your vision of it then?
So when I was diagnosed in 1993, the story and the situation around HIV and AIDS as it was then was really, really different. The thing is, we didn't have the wonderful treatment that we have now. So for many, many people, it was just about what clinicians could do was to provide palliative care for people until they died. So we knew many friends and family who we watched dying. And I think there was at one point, there would be times where there would be so many funerals, you had to pick which one you're going to go to. So it was a very different story then. The stigma was even worse than it is today. But in a way also it was a time whereby the friendships that you made then were real and true friendships because you supported each other through thick and thin.
Yeah. And sometimes it could be to the end. Exactly.
And a lot of the friends I made then, luckily, are still alive with us. Many I made, they passed away, but it was true friendship, true community, and it didn't matter for us anyway. It didn't matter whether you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, because for us as women living with HIV, in fact, for me when I was diagnosed, a lot of apart from the first friend who told me about her HIV status and took me to a support group, most of the groups we went to, there was a lot of gay men, and they were the ones who were supporting us. And so it was because they already knew what to do, how to do it, and so we learned a lot from them, but we got a lot of support from them.
And you lost your brother to HIV, to an AIDS-related illness, didn't you? So that must have, when you were diagnosed, that must have been even, you must have thought, well, this is it.
It was hard, only because I was diagnosed, I think, a year after he told us. It was around the same time anyway. But unfortunately for him, it was the pre-treatment era. So he had all the, AIDS-related conditions going. He had meningitis, he had TB, he had Kaposi sarcoma, and he spent the last part of his year in and out of hospices like the Lighthouse, London Lighthouse, the Mildmay, and the Coach Street Hospital, the ward. I think you've seen the book that he spent a lot of time. Then he subsequently died in the Mildmay, where it was still in the old. So when he died, and me being diagnosed around that time, it was almost like watching my own life. That was how I was going. So I even found it very hard initially to talk to my family about it, because I didn't want them to have to go through what we'd just been through with my brother. But yeah, no, it was that made it a bit harder for me. But actually, I was very lucky, because earlier on, it took me a while to say anything to anybody. But I was very lucky because one of my friends, we just happened to be, just a friend. We used to go out and have a nice time together. One time she said to me, "Oh, Angelina, I have something to tell you." And I said, "What?" And she told me, "Oh, I'm living with HIV." And so, oh my goodness, thank God.
Yeah.
Not because she had HIV, but just because this is a friend of mine, another woman living in London, and she has HIV. So I told her about me. And she did one of the greatest things I will never forget for me, was she took me to a peer support group. I got the peer support that I needed, and I started volunteering and then working in the sector. If she hadn't told me about her status, I don't know where I'd be today.
Yeah.
So sometimes you don't have to be out and open in the public about it.
Yeah.
It just takes telling one person to change another person's life.
And so often telling one person can change you. Them telling you is one thing, but you being able to tell them is a great thing for us, isn't it? To be able to say somebody else knows.
Yeah, it does. And I think, like I said back then, her telling me and then me telling her, I think it probably was a relief for her as well in a way. But because she already knew and she knew what to do, she was able to help me.
Yeah.
And then I was able to get the support, and then I was able to tell somebody else.
Else.
And
pass it on. Yeah. So you've been a real huge advocate and supporter, and somebody that has helped move things forward for women living with HIV. The 4M network, and many other things that you've done for women wanting to have children, so where did that come from? Was that because of your own circumstances, or?
Gosh, the 4M network, I think that's partly because of my own circumstances. I do have a lovely child who was born after my diagnosis. I call her child, but she's actually an adult.
I was gonna say she's not a baby.
She's a lovely young lady. She's 24. I think she's 24. I always forget that, intentionally, obviously, because the older she gets, the older I am.
You're like,
too.
She's always 2.
Yeah, and she's not living with HIV herself, but that's just part of the beauty or the good thing about having her at a time when we had treatment. It meant wasn't able to pass HIV on to her. But in terms of the 4M network, it also stems back from when I was working, because I've been working in the sector for a long time. At the organization is now called Positively UK, but at the time it was Positively Women. And what we noticed was there was support around for people living with HIV, families, but there wasn't anything specifically for pregnant women living with HIV or parenting people who wanted to have children after a diagnosis. So that's when we started. It was initially called the From Pregnancy to Baby and Beyond, which was around training and doing workshops for either pregnant women or those planning to get pregnant, so that they know around the pregnancy journey, but also training mentor mothers. And then later on, 4M Network was born. And 4M stands for My Health, My Choice, My Child, My Life.
Right.
So it's a perinatal peer mentoring project where we train mentor mothers to support their peers going through the pregnancy journey, but also for their own personal development. So it's got a bit of personal and professional into it, but my heart really is in it, because I think unlike the olden days, and maybe in some countries it's still an issue, I believe that being able to have a child is a basic human right. Your sexual reproductive health is a basic human right, whether you choose to have children or not. But if you do, then you should be able to do it safely and with the support that you need and in the information that you need to make informed choices. Yeah, I always say, I know, although we work with women going through the pregnancy journey, we are also very aware that not every woman wants to have a child.
Yeah.
Not every. And I have my lovely friend Sylvia, who just loves her cats.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. But I just think it's important that those who do choose to have the right information to make the right choices.
Yeah. And some of you might recognise Ange from a couple of my videos, but from Bearded and Flushed, which was talking about HIV in women with menopause, and and that was an amazing project, and that was an amazing project for me as a man, just going, wow, look at these women being so positive and proud of, you know, because we get older, we start to go, oh, I've got this extra bit of fat, or I've got, you know, so it was really interesting. I think that will be amazingly useful for other women that are going through menopause, because I was speaking to a woman yesterday and she's going through it and she's like, oh, it's awful, and you know, and all she can see is that side of it. So I was like, I need to hook you up with some friends I know that, you know, because I think it's really important, because
it's so important to talk about the menopause, and for many of us, because I know that for many of us growing up, there are two things that are crucial in our lives but were never talked about. The first one is about just talking about sex and relationships. My sex education was like, don't play with boys, you'll get pregnant. So I wasn't told how I was going to get pregnant.
Just don't go near them.
So if I touch you, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. You know, the other thing was, nobody talked to us about the menopause. And it's not just us, even our parents and their generation. And if you talked about it, it was just, you know, this is something that women have to go through. You know, just endure it, you know. And many women, then that's what they did, or that's what they still do, because it's not talked about. So you don't know that actually I have options. I can talk to other women going through it. I can get support. I can get treatment like HRT, which works for many, it may not work for others, but it's just having those choices. Well, the Bearded and Flash project was such a lot of fun, because it was finding a way to talk about the menopause in an irreverent and unapologetic way. But we did a lot of writing, you know, had lovely workshops and produced lots of great films around it. But it was just having that opportunity to just talk about it. And then share what the issues were, and then, okay, where do I go for help? So my friends and I, who are of a certain age, of course I'm still 35 in my head.
Of course.
But this body is telling me something different. My daughter always says to me, Mom, every movement you make is accompanied by a sound effect.
I know that it is. It's like, oh,
But it was really, it's a great project, because it just gave us permission to be artistic about it, but talk about it, share stories, look at some of the issues, the good and bad, what we go through, but also what do you do about it, but have fun with it. You know, it's amazing. I love it.
Now, sitting in front of us is this book, this very, very exciting looking book, which is Our Stories Told by Us. And just try and get it out of it. So this book it's a compilation of wonderful ladies, a number of them that are friends of mine. Just put that in there. You know, like Rebecca and Charity, you know, and Winnie, who are also choir members. And tell us a bit about Our Stories Told by Us.
So Our Stories Told by Us is a book which is around celebrating the African contribution to the UK HIV response. And it's co-authored by myself, Charity Nyirenda, Memory Sachikonye, Rebecca Mbewe, and Winnie Seruma. And then, of course, with contributions from other people, because initially we wanted to put it together for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it was to coincide with the 40th anniversary of the discovery of the HIV virus. But we also wanted to put together to tell our stories our way, because you will know this most of the time when you hear stories about African people living with HIV, is often, you know, or even women living with HIV, is often passive, voiceless victims, just recipients of services. You never hear the other side of the stories about our resilience, about, you know, our leadership, about the stuff that we've done.
The progress.
The progress that we've done, you know, in terms of, you know, within the HIV response. We've also been part and parcel of it over the past 40 years, but you never hear that. And what we thought was, well, we could have just sat back and let somebody else tell our stories for us, in which case they would tell it their way, or we could tell it our way. And we have voices to do it. So we got together and decided, yes, we would tell our stories, but recognizing the fact that we didn't do all this resilience, all this leadership on us by ourselves. We've got allies, you know, healthcare clinicians, researchers, people who led organizations over time. So the book is actually made up of about just over 40 stories, 5 of our stories, but also different stories from other contributors. But we just wanted to do it a different way, to show the narrative, to talk about our stories rather beyond it just being statistics. Yeah, it's about human beings. This is what they've been through. Of course, there's issues, there's resilience, there's, people have gone through a lot.
Yeah.
Illness, troubles, but there's also the resilience, and we need to celebrate our leadership. And that's why we put the book together.
It's great. I went to the launch of it last week, and it was so good to hear. I've heard you speak before, so it's always good to hear you speak. But to hear Charity speak and Rebecca, I think it's for so long, Ange, there was this view that HIV was a gay disease, or I don't even call it a disease, a gay virus, and things like this are showing that there were so many women so many women outside of this book, that have also gone through HIV, that are living and surviving and thriving, and living full, happy, positive lives, so I think that this is really important. I think this is going to be a huge help to a lot of people.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you so much for just highlighting it. And what we wanted, you're very right in terms of, for a long time, it was almost like it was, of course, it was concentrated within one community, but actually it affected, I tend to call it the equal opportunities disease. But because even within the book, you'll see there's lots of women's stories, but there's also women stories, younger people, the stories of older people. It's just, it can affect anybody, and so we really felt it was important to also show that side in a more positive light. Yes, we recognize there were issues and there were struggles, but actually there's a lot more light as well.
Yeah. And also you might I put a thick post in my Newcastle video because I was wearing a t-shirt that was designed by Angelina. She makes these amazing U=U t-shirts, and I'll put the link in if anybody is interested in getting one of those t-shirts. I should have worn it today, Anne, shouldn't I?
It's okay.
But and so many, it's so nice to go to conferences and go to the things where you see people and go, oh, my friend made that t-shirt,
There's a few that I'm taking to the conferences as well.
Oh, you do, yeah. Well, so you should, Ange. I said when Ange was in Newcastle going to the Beaver conference, a British HIV conference, I said, Ange, I've told them down there about your t-shirts, and you sold them all, didn't you?
I did. And what we do is like, I make the t-shirts and then just say people to donate to the forum website, because it's a small charity, and whatever they donate goes towards, when we have webinars, we can have data bundles to attend. But that was just a thing. I just thought one of the ways, because stigma still exists, and that stigma really stops people from talking about HIV, from telling others about HIV, from sharing their status with stigma us, and also stops people from testing for HIV, which once you test, something can be done about it. But I was thinking, how do we, and we know now we have this treatment, have this concept of U=U, which I'm sure you've talked about around a lot, in terms of if someone living with HIV takes their HIV medication, achieves and maintains an undetectable virus, they can pass it on.
Exactly.
But I thought, well, how do you do it in a way that is not without sitting up and doing a PowerPoint presentation? I saw it onto t-shirts, and then you put it on, you look good first of all, but then if somebody asks you, you can just talk to them about it.
And people, so many people that I met that didn't know about U=U, they're like, What's that for? And it gives you an opportunity to say, blah blah blah, to tell them the information that everybody should know, So Ange, in our friendship, we have drunk a lot of prosecco, haven't we?
Yes, and I think I need a bit of a sip.
Yeah, I think Angelina and my love of prosecco is something that brought us together. But we've had many a fun night out on a few glasses of prosecco. So but it just proves, doesn't it, Ange, that you can live your life and continue to live your life and have fun and have friendships and relationships. HIV doesn't stop us, does it?
It doesn't. It didn't define who we are, because HIV is it's such a tiny virus, so tiny that you have to look at it through a microscope. it's part of our lives, yes, but then we are so much more than HIV.
Yeah.
You know, you're an artist. You're a broadcaster. My English is going. English is my third language, so I'm allowed. You do so many other things. We acquire members. We do so many other things. We have friends. You have cats. You know, I have fish. I have friends. We have so many. HIV is occupies only a small part of our lives.
Yeah.
It shouldn't define who we are. And in terms of relationships, you know, you are Stephen. You know,
Yeah.
handsome artist. You know, talented. HIV doesn't change who you are.
Yeah.
So if in terms of relationships, I think people need to take us for who we are. The virus comes, it's somewhere there.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. If I was a horrible person before, I'm still a horrible person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
if I was
yeah,
a good
exactly.
person, I'm still a good person. And so I
You're
think
a good
people
person, Ange.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't let. I believe we shouldn't really let HIV limit our lives.
Yeah, it's just a list. I'm diabetic, but
Right.
but diabetes isn't all I am. You
Yeah.
know, it's just another thing that I live with. You know, and HIV is that for us. So thank you, Ange. It's been
welcome.
wonderful talking to you today and getting to delve a bit deeper into your story and who you are and what you do. And I'll put links to Angie's Twitter down in the description box below. If you have any questions that you would like me to ask Angelina, then please put them in the description box below. If there's anything that I haven't asked her that you think, oh, I'd like to know that about her. Is she single? Is she, you know, just ask me any of those things that I'll let you know. But yeah, thank you, Ange. Thank you for being on.
Stephen.
And thank you for being my friend.
Thank you for being my friend.
Oh, you're welcome.
Such a pleasure. Come
You're
back
welcome.
again.
Okay, I will. Okay, see you later, everybody.
Bye.